Hi, Mark. It is Monday, March the 23rd, just after 10 a.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. GMT. US session well underway, and we've had a remarkable turnaround in the last couple of hours since the US session got underway, and that being a result of the White House, President Trump, declaring that from his perspective, or from the US perspective, his attack on Iran has come to an end, almost declaring the war to be over, which I personally find absurd. There's certainly three active parties controlling the agenda, being the US, Iran, and Israel. But his declaration is, in my opinion, unilateral because I haven't heard any confirmation from either Iran or Israel regarding the war being an end and the attacks coming on Iran coming to an end. But the market has certainly reacted in a positive, when I say positive, from a US dollar perspective. Firstly, what we've seen is the US dollar being sold off. The US dollar was strengthening at the start of the new week through the Asian European session and an absolute turnaround. You can see the red candlestick selling the US dollar index. I've got resistance at 99.95, just under that 100 level, and support now at 98.86. And if I zoom in on the hourly, there you can see the US dollar strength, demand for US dollars, up until into the European session. And since Trump's declaration, unilateral declaration of the war coming to an end, or being an end or pause or ceasefire, well, there's a result. US dollar sold off all the way down to that support at 98.86. We'll see if this does continue, if this the US dollar sell-off does continue and index maintains at these low levels, or if we see a bounce up off this level, things turn around and US dollar strength resume and buyers look to bounce up off this level. But certainly a turnaround in the last few hours during the US session. Let's have a look at the majors. There you see the Euro US, strong Euro, buy Euro, selling US, green candlestick, uptrend. I've got support at 114.84 and I've got resistance at 116.11. Again, if I zoom in, you'll see the selling euro, buy US dollar strength. There's the turnaround, and the US dollar being sold off and buying the euro from the support level right up to this 116.11, which is the intraday resistance for now. If, let's look at the pound against the US. And there you see strong pound against the weak US. Very similar situation. I've got support at 132.54. I've got resistance at 134.34. Green candlestick, resistance being tested again. If I zoom into the hourly, you'll see how that came about. During the Asian and into the European session to start the new week, we saw US dollar strength. There is the bounce up of that support level and the resistance at 134.34. This bounce up, buying pound, selling US dollar weakness coinciding with Trump's statement earlier. US dollar against the yen. Let's start off on the daily. There you see US dollar being sold off, selling US, buying yen. I've got resistance at 159.64, that very tough resistance level, and I've got support at 158.23. On the hourly, there you see the strong US dollar earlier. Here's the turnaround over the past, going on 4 hours now, and sellers of US, buyers of yen. looking down at this support level at 158.23. If there's going to be a turnaround and US dollar buyers do step in of this area, they'll be looking back up at the 159 or higher. US dollar Canadian, let's have a look at the daily. There you see red candlestick, US dollar being sold off, has weakened against the Canadian. I've got resistance at 137.54. That's the half from earlier this morning. And I've got support at 136.83. There on the hourly, there you see the US dollar strength early to start the new week, Asian European session. And there you see the bounce down, selling US dollar, buying Canadian over the past few hours down to this support at 136.83. So the pattern certainly has changed, and we're definitely seeing something different this morning, following up from Trump's declaration of the war now coming to an end or having been paused, at least for now, by the US. We'll wait to see what the response is from Iran, from Israel, and the Gulf states. Up until now, nothing has changed as far as oil supply and the concerns of oil supply. That's still, we'll wait to see how that affects the markets as well. The moves have been large, the moves now, and the average true range on all of these majors has been the range has been met. In other words, they've moved as much as they usually do, according to the average true range on a daily basis. So we'll see whether there is more room to move, if that range can widen, or if we see prices hang around where they are right now, which is the US dollar being sold off, so they're sitting at their relative resistance and support levels, or again, if we're going to see a turnaround now that the US session is underway, waiting for a response and a reaction. If US dollar buyers do step in, but we have our relative resistance support levels to work with. Good trading, keep that discipline today, and I'll see you at the end of day.